Hi everyone. So fear has come up a few times this week when I was talking with my clients. And really there are two things you need to know. Fear or love are really the only two ways that we show up. We're either in fear or we're in love. And I don't mean love as in romantic love necessarily, but just love is the basic, or it's not even basic, it's the most important emotion, but they are the two ways that we show up. We're born through pure love. Even if you're born in the worst circumstances ever, you come out pure love. You're ready to love whoever gave birth to you. You're ready to love the world. It's only through experience and learning in your childhood that you learn that you should have fears. The only two fears that are real are the sound of loud noises and the fear of falling. Every other fear is taught. So if those two things are true, then that means if the fears have been taught to you, you can unlearn them. And that's really mindset work is, for the majority of it, unlearning. It's not about learning something new, it's about unlearning. And so we really want to be able to move past that. So, write down your goal at the top of a page. This is the exercise you do. And, if the goal is to make a certain amount of money, then write that down. So if it's like, to make $50,000 a month, you write that down. Be as specific as you can or you want to. If it's to try something new, if it's to get a lover, if it's to, improve conversations or communication with your partner, doesn't matter to me, whichever area, and do this as often as you need to. Write down the goal, then, write down, because what happens is your brain wants to answer questions, okay? And inevitably, when you set a goal, especially if you have a timeline on it, your mind is going to say how. And if you can't answer the how, then it's going to be like, well, there's no threat here. She doesn't know how, so she's not going to do it. I'm talking for me or anybody. He doesn't know how he's going to pull it off, so we don't have to worry. And if the goal is really, really big, say it's you want to make, $1 million a month, your mind is going to be like, let's let her or him have that fantasy, because it's pure fantasy. There's no real threat because they're not going to do what it takes to get there. And so it becomes, a vision board thing, which I love vision boards, by the way. I'm not saying you shouldn't have one. But it becomes a vision board thing that you don't believe. So it's like a write-off. Now my dog, you're going to hear my dog in the background. He sees something out on the road. Oh, guard dog. He sounds way bigger than he is. So when you write down the goal and you start asking how am I going to make $1 million a month? Answer the question. Well, I could win the lottery. I could sell drugs. I could whatever, even if it's crazy things, just answer the how the best you know how. Then after you've answered the hows that you know, because sometimes it's going to be something that you're going to be asked to do that you do not know how, or you haven't heard of yet, but I talked to someone this week and they wanted to try something new in their business. And I said, why haven't you started yet? And they're like, well, that's a good question. I don't know why. Then when you get to that point where you don't know why, and then, their thing was, well, I have comfort. I'm in my comfort zone right now. Okay. You're in your comfort zone. How can you change that? Then you have to recognize what a comfort zone does for you. What is there about leaving the comfort zone that feels unsafe? What are the things that you need to do to change that? Now, when you write this down, it's, if you were having a conversation with me, we could write it down, but it's getting it outside of your brain, outside of your head, because your subconscious and your mind, your ego will control what's in here. It's like having the angel and the devil. You can, if you step back and you get really good at your mindset practice, you can step back and watch your mind ask and answer questions for itself. So it's like it's having its own conversation, but they're not always acting in your best interest. It's not because your mind is trying to hurt you. It's just that it's programmed to operate as efficiently as possible, and efficiency is by known programs and patterns. So when you have the fear-based response, or you have a question like, why can't I do this? Why can't you do this? I answer the question. Like, whatever comes up for you, write the question down and answer it. Well, I can't do it because I'm not pretty enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have this in place. If you think you need a website, blah, blah, blah. Do you really need all of those things? You have to go, then after you write down your why can't I do this? Well, I can't do it because I don't have a website, because I don't know enough people, because there's a pandemic right now. Write down the answers and then challenge each one. Has no one done any business during a pandemic? No, actually, a lot of people got really innovative and did different ways of doing business. In fact, our whole Canadian government that used to fight their employees about working from home suddenly shut down and let everybody work from home. So now all of a sudden they're like, well, I guess we can pull that off from home. Then what else do we need to do, right? So when you have that when you have the why can't I do it, or why, and then you challenge the idea, then you're like, okay, really, it didn't have any weight. But what is happening all day long is that you're asking that question and you're answering it inside your head. And it's going to keep giving the answers that's going to keep you in your comfort zone, that's going to keep you in the safe, known programs and patterns. So until you take it out and you can look at it and be like, oh, that's why. This is really what is going on in my head, because writing it out becomes the objective point of view. It becomes outside of you, and your mind wants to answer the question. Now, once you've done this exercise, the next part of it, so it's like part 3, is you want to ask a better question, because your mind will answer questions. But if you say something like, why can't I do this? Then instead say, how could this be possible? How can I do this? What if I could achieve this? What if I did make $1 million a month? What if I was able to attract the man or the woman or the person that I'm looking for? What if I could have mind-blowing sex and I wasn't worried about the sounds I made? What if I could, have a sexy turned-on business that I only needed to work 3 hours a day? And write that down again, and then say to yourself, okay, what part of it do you believe or you not believe? What part of it is possible? What can you do right now to start living as if you already achieved it? So because your mind is always answering questions, when you get in the habit of asking positive, affirming questions, you will get different answers, and you will start to see the possibility of what's out there instead of shutting down the possibility with our traditional way of thinking. So try that. Let me know how it goes. So there's 3 parts to this, maybe even 4 if you go back and listen to the thing, but promise me that you will do it and not just listen to this video, but do it, write it out, and see for yourself what comes up. I'd love to hear from you. Comment below. Talk to you soon.